GoiiGamers. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a different reaction. We're actually going to react to Godzilla vs. Shin Godzilla, but it's an in-depth analysis. And I guess it's just like explaining about their abilities, who wins in a battle. I don't know, but anyways, this video is by GOJI Center. Go check them out. Link will be in the description. Anyways, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you will not miss out on any new videos. And let's get into this video. Oh yeah, guys, I can't wait. I love that intro.
Today in the battle arena, we will witness a battle for the ages.
Yeah, a battle for the
ages.
ages.
In this series, we will have not one, but two Godzillas in the battle arena.
Yep.
The first, a titan that throughout the ages has earned the title of Alpha with Blood. A giant reptilian that does not know retreat or surrender. The one and only
Legendary Godzilla.
Its opponent, one of the most terrifying monsters ever seen, with a biology so strange and volatile that it could counter just
that's
about
his third
everything
form.
thrown at him. This wasn't an ordinary Gojira.
Oh no, it wasn't.
This is Shin Godzilla.
Yes.
In this battle analysis, we will go in depth, analyzing their weapons, armor, resistance, abilities, and biological attributes.
Biological
That will determine the winner of
attributes.
this battle. So make sure to stay with us to the end as we reveal which of these titans deserves the title of Deadliest Godzilla.
It's Legendary Godzilla.
Before we enter the analysis platform, it is imperative that we determine the physical proportions of these two monsters. Let's begin with Shin Godzilla. This particular version of Godzilla comes in many forms, constantly evolving into different forms that counter any obstacles or oppressive elements that this kaiju would face. For this battle, we will be using Shin Godzilla's fourth form, known as Kamakura-san.
Kamakura-san?
89 feet in height, more than 30 feet taller than legendary Godzilla in 2014. And weighed over 92,000 metric tons. A colossal kaiju of this size would have outsized the earlier 2014 rendition of Legendary's Godzilla. Therefore, we will be using the larger, bulkier version of Godzilla featured in King of the Monsters.
Yes.
This time, Legendary Godzilla measures a whopping 394
Wow.
feet, just 5 feet taller than Shin. Additionally, this kaiju weighed 99,634 U.S. tons. But what is this in
U.S.
metric
tons? Does
By
that mean like in
comparing
the
these different
United
units of
States?
measurement, we see that Shin Godzilla, although shorter in size, is actually the heavier kaiju. Proportionally speaking, however, these two are now almost the same. Now that we have a clear picture of
No, Godzilla 2019 and Godzilla 2021 are heavier than Shin Godzilla. They weigh about 99,634
The amount of
tons.
damage that these kaiju can take, we need to take into account the types of weapons used to counter both of these creatures.
Okay.
Shin Godzilla brings a body covered in thick, aberrated hide,
Whoa.
capable of withstanding a ton of firepower.
Yep, he sure does have a
whole
thick
squadron
body.
of Type 10 tanks, AH-64 Apaches, and 1Z copters rained a barrage of continuous fire on this creature. The result? Shin didn't even flinch. But how does Legendary Godzilla react to this type of weaponry?
I didn't know that.
In 2014, Godzilla was attacked by a barrage of fire, and as you can clearly see, Legendary GOJI actually does react to these sorts of weapons, in contrast to Shin, who didn't react. The only weapon
How?
piercing Shin,
I mean, I know he has that thick hide, but
which went right
it's
through
still
Shin's
crazy to
torso,
think
causing
about
him
it.
to bleed and roar in immense pain, meaning that this particular area of Shin is vulnerable to damage. But there are a few other factors we need to consider.
Okay.
If you have seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, you will recall the scene where Ghidorah picked up Godzilla and dropped him from the stratosphere.
Yep, I definitely
Upon
recall
further
that.
research,
I've
we
watched
found
this movie
two
so many
very important
times.
things. One, upon re-entry to the lower levels of the atmosphere, this temperature can reach 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And two, note that Godzilla landed on his dorsals. Upon landing, we can see that none of these dorsals broke, meaning that unlike Shin, these can withstand immense amounts of shock damage. Furthermore, we witnessed Godzilla take a nuke to the face. In the film featuring Shin Godzilla, this is the type of weapon with a blast strong enough to kill Shin. Or that's what they thought, at least. Legendary Godzilla's resistance is admittedly a bit strange. For a titan that can withstand nukes, it is only reasonable for this thing to have a thick hide that's capable of withstanding any type of trauma. But this is negated thanks to the Mutos penetrating Godzilla's skin and Kong's axe penetrating his thigh. But in this particular battle, both titans will need armor capable of withstanding atomic weaponry, atomic shocks, and high levels of heat. And by considering all of the evidence, we find that Legendary Godzilla checks most of these boxes.
This is
giving him
really
the edge in
scientific.
resistance. Regeneration. Because this battle will feature damage unlike any other battle seen in this channel, we must take into account the regenerative pace of these two kaiju.
Yep.
Shin Godzilla possesses the capability to heal relatively quickly. The prime example of this is the moment when the Ordnance Penetrators managed to injure Godzilla. Upon further observation, Shin managed to recover almost instantly, and on top of that, deploy a weapon right where the injury was inflicted.
Man, Shin Godzilla is
This
so
thanks to its genetic
strong.
composition that allowed it to regenerate this fast.
Wow,
More
guys,
on
look, this person
later.
hasn't subscribed yet.
Legendary Godzilla also has regenerative capabilities, but they behave a little differently. Unlike its opponent, Legendary Goji's regeneration and healing is much slower and doesn't happen immediately. On the contrary, this process of healing injured areas can take anywhere from a few hours to even years, depending on the type of wound and where.
Wow.
Once injured by the axe, Godzilla is seen with an orange scab-like covering where the wound was originally inflicted.
Oh, I see that.
But another injury that Godzilla could have taken a while to recuperate from was its dorsals. Upon getting them destroyed by the Muto Prime's sonic roar, these would have
sonic
taken a while
roar?
to regenerate fully.
Look at his
Both of these
spines!
can
Or
heal
look at
over
his
time,
dorsal
but in a
fins.
1v1 situation, healing on the spot is imperative. Not to mention that Shin evolves while it heals, bringing back a superior organ better equipped to counter the weapon that inflicted the damage. For this reason, the edge for regeneration will go to Shin Godzilla.
Oh.
Battle intelligence.
Intelligence?
Those of you who have seen both
Legendary
of these creatures in
Godzilla,
action
all the way.
will know that these two behave very differently. Throughout its film, Shin Godzilla has been seen as an animal that
I'm just
behaves
calling
on
it.
pure
I'm
instinct.
just calling it.
At
I think
times, this
Legendary
creature showed
Godzilla will win this
absolutely
one.
no signs of thought processing. But what about its fourth form? This creature's way of fighting wasn't led too much by actual thought processes, but by reactions to the surrounding elements. And it was pretty effective. To illustrate this, we need to see how this creature behaved during its evolution. Once it found it difficult to breathe, this thing adopted a more terrestrial method of inhaling. If it found it difficult to move through objects, this thing now developed legs. Once airborne objects were the next big threat, this thing countered with weapons that could counter them effectively. The point is, although this creature's brain does have something to do with the way it evolves, its fight methodology is determined by what the opponent does, or what the obstacles are. A cause and response sort of
Man, this is
paradox.
so scientific.
Not
Shout out to
critical
GOJI
thinking.
Center.
Legendary Godzilla is practically the complete opposite. Instead of relying on its evolutionary traits for survival, this titan relies on its cunning and, most importantly, its battle experience. Allow us
Now,
to
Legendary
remind you that
Godzilla has a
Legendary
lot of
Godzilla has
battle
been alive
experience.
For millions of years. And in the world of Monster vs. Titans, living this long means that you have survived many battles and wars against many different types of foes, adding to Godzilla's repertoire of combat methodologies. We'd like to think that Godzilla's mind processes are led by an instinctive
What
compass,
is that?
a hardwired
I know that's
personality
Muto.
backed up by its
Oh, what's the
critical
purple
thinking
thing?
abilities that allow it to develop strategies
That
and
thing.
counters to any incoming attacks.
I know Mecha
Examples
G.
of this were shown with how he managed to kill both male and female Mutos in different ways, aiming for Ghidorah's most vulnerable body parts and the ability to outmatch Kong in a purely physical
Good slap.
confrontation. By taking all of this into account, it's clear that in this particular battle, the edge for intelligence
Yes.
during combat.
Yes! I
Legendary
called it! I
Godzilla.
called it!
Overall strength. Most incarnations of Godzillas are usually represented
Definitely
as
the
unstoppable
legendary
forces
Godzilla.
of nature. But what about these two? In its live-action appearance, Shin Godzilla was the type of kaiju that would literally burst through all sorts of urban landscape, densely packed buildings, and power through missile fire. But where is all this strength concentrated? Upon further observation, it's clear that most of its muscular density can be found in the lower portion of its body. More specifically, its extremely thick legs and very large tail. The advantage of having
yeah,
such
its
a build
tail's
has been
really
beneficial
huge.
to not just Shin, but Legendary Godzilla as well. That's right, both of these kaiju have thicker legs and a tail that can be used as a third limb, which comes in handy
A
when it
third
comes to stability.
limb?
The best example of this is how Godzilla soaked Kong's punch to the face on the carrier. The real reason why Godzilla did not get knocked down was the fact that it had 3 points of contact with the ground. Unlike Kong, whose smaller legs did not help him stay upright against a swipe from a smaller limb. Speaking of which, when it comes to upper body strength, Legendary Godzilla comes equipped with a bulkier upper body. In contrast, Shin Godzilla's upper arms are much smaller and had little to no role in the destruction of these cities. So who wins the edge?
Legendary
While it's true
Godzilla.
that most of the lower muscular density of Shin Godzilla surpasses Legendary's, this Godzilla's larger build on its upper part of his body
Yes.
and his constant reliance
Let's
on physical strength in
go!
combat gives him the edge when it comes
Yes!
to overall strength. Terrain compatibility.
Legendary
Which of these two
Godzilla.
kaiju
I'm
can
just
fight well
calling
in any
Legendary
arena?
Godzilla
Shin
every
Godzilla has
single
had 4
time.
forms to evolve into a kaiju that can handle a terrestrial arena pretty well. But its most important ability is not how it moves, but how it detects threats.
What?
In the film, it is mentioned that this kaiju has a phased array radar.
Phased
which allows this
array
kaiju to
radar?
sense things in any location in a given
Wait for no
radius.
signal.
This thing will be able to detect any incoming weapon.
That's
even if its
cool.
scope of
I didn't
vision
even know
isn't in
that.
front of its target. But is this enough to win the edge? Although Legendary Godzilla does not possess a similar defense mechanism, this kaiju has the ability to locate any monster on the surface of the Earth. In terms of actual terrain, Godzilla has proven to be an apt swimmer, capable of fighting in both water and land.
Yep, he's definitely an
No matter where this
apt
battle takes
swimmer.
place, Legendary Godzilla will
Yes!
have the edge when it comes to terrain compatibility. Locomotion. This factor will
I don't know what that
when
means.
facing off against a titan of these proportions.
I guess Shin
Throughout its film,
Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla moves at a sluggish pace, as we've never seen him take off and
This is
run
the
at high
fastest he
speeds.
walked in this
terms of
film?
agility, this kaiju was also
Dang,
quite
he's so
static,
slow.
with only its tail as the most maneuverable part of its body. That said, it is possible that this kaiju didn't need to move fast at all.
Huh.
If humanity threw a special weapon that required Shin to evolve into a faster moving creature, then it would have probably manipulated its body shape to counter such weaponry. But in its 4th phase,
Man, Shin Godzilla
was
has
not
such a
fast.
huge tail.
Legendary Godzilla, on the other hand, went from being a slow-moving creature in 2014 to a much faster and agile combatant in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, yep.
Although being a larger creature, this thing is now capable of literally running and even pouncing on a victim after being on all fours. The way Legendary Godzilla uses its weapons, such as its tail, is a clear indicator that this Godzilla moves in ways that Shin can't. For this reason, the edge for locomotion will be given to Legendary Godzilla.
What?
Now
I don't know what that means. I just gave it to Shin Godzilla.
Melee weaponry.
Legendary Godzilla.
Has been a kaiju
Legendary
that relied on other
Godzilla.
types of weaponry rather than physical prowess. The closest thing we got to physical damage was simply having this kaiju tear through cityscapes and nothing else. Though, to be fair, using its body as a weapon was not warranted at all, since there was no other opponent for Shin to use
I
them
bet
on.
Goji Center got an A in science.
We will divide this melee analysis
Because he's
into
talking
3
about
parts:
so many
jaws,
things
limbs,
about
and
these
tail.
monsters.
If we compare both of these creatures' heads side by side, we find that Shin Godzilla has the more irregular shaped teeth and a lot of them.
Yeah, Shin
This
Godzilla has
jaw goes as
tons
far
of
as
teeth.
unhinging, giving it more biting surface
deadly.
area, but at the expense of bite force. The
Godzilla
problem with
versus
Shin's head,
Evangelion,
however, is
not
that it's
canon.
awkwardly placed on its neck. In order for this head to be at all effective to be used in melee combat, this head would have to be placed in a more obtuse angle along its spine. This new posture would allow Shin to bring down its head and bite with more effectiveness, similar to Legendary Godzilla.
Well, I do not like
Moving
that
down to the
head
limb
of
arrangements,
Shin
we
Godzilla.
see that Legendary Godzilla's arms are much larger,
Ooh.
stronger, and oriented in a way that can be used for close combat. Shin's arms are pronated upward, making it more uncomfortable for it to be used for fighting. Legendary and Shin's legs are relatively similar, but in the past, we have seen that Legendary GOJI has used its legs as a weapon and used for finishing maneuvers against many other kaiju.
Oh,
The
yep.
last weapon to
He's
review
used
is
it
the
against
tail.
Ghidorah,
Here's where
Kong.
things get interesting. Making up more than half of its body length, Shin Godzilla's tail is equipped with enough mass to knock down almost any foe that stands in front of it. This tail alone is taller than Legendary GOJI himself. Even though it has a smaller tail, Legendary GOJI actually does use this as a weapon, even killing
against that male
thanks to
Muto.
its sharp dorsals and tremendous swing force. Again, we will reiterate that we
Excluding
have
Shin
not seen
Godzilla
Shin's
versus
melee weaponry
Evangelion,
in action,
which is
and
not
because it lacks
canon.
experience in the use of these weapons, Legendary Godzilla takes a critical edge.
Man,
over
he's
its
getting
melee
so...
weaponry.
Yes,
Now,
yeah, I called
let's
it,
get to
but...
the real damage.
But, man, Legendary Godzilla is winning so
Weaponry.
much.
The contestant
Shin
who wins
Godzilla
the edge
only
in this
got
category will
one.
obtain it because it was the most effective in this particular battle.
Just 1 point.
Let's begin with Shin Godzilla. This Titan's atomic capability is not to be underestimated in the slightest. This kaiju's signature weapon is known as the Condensed Atomic Heat Ray, a blast of atomic energy so powerful that it is seen cutting entire skylines in half thanks to its intense temperatures.
Huh.
To get to this point in temperature will take time though. Let's rewind a little bit before this condensation of energy. We see here that before Shin was able to condense this fire stream to its purple hue, this first started as a black smoke that was rapidly fired from this animal's vocal orifice.
Yep, we
This
all
was
know
then
this is
ignited
atomic
by
breath.
its thermal flame and then condensed into this deadly weapon. This does not end here. Apart from being able to release this ray from its mouth, this creature has another vestigial underdeveloped pair of mandibles on its tail. This was a result of this animal's constant evolution that allowed it to develop an extra outlet for this energy. If this wasn't enough, this animal was also capable of releasing energy through its spine, allowing more of this deadly energy into a wider area. This weapon can also be aimed with accuracy thanks to its phased array radar.
Phased array radar.
Godzilla respond. This Godzilla is equipped with one of the most destructive atomic blasts ever seen.
Definitely, definitely.
500,000 degrees Celsius and with the explosive power of an atomic bomb. This weapon was used to dig a hole through the Earth and reach the nether regions of the planet. But what about its dorsals? As seen in the film Godzilla King of the Monsters,
nuclear
Godzilla
pulse,
was able to emit an
killing
atomic
Ghidorah.
pulse. This pulse was exponentially more powerful thanks to Godzilla's
He's just so strong.
state. Will Godzilla hit this state in this battle?
Maybe.
No.
What?
This was caused by two things: Serizawa's nuke and Mothra's sacrifice.
Serizawa's
Godzilla won't have
nuke and
any of
Mothra's
these in this
sacrifice?
battle, but the pulse itself can be used. In Godzilla Aftershock, we see that this pulse was used to expel a hazardous amount of energy, which allowed Godzilla to destroy the Muto Prime. So, which
he
of
was
these
in
weapons
space.
is the most effective against the opponent? By observing how this atomic ray reacts to what it hits, it's evident that this ray within itself has more destructive power. Yes, legendary Godzilla can blast a hole through the planet, but if this destructive power was aimed at the ground, it would have done the same thing. But what really gives Shin the edge is the capability to fire a very destructive beam from many places: its tail and mouth, or its dorsals.
Yep.
Well, legendary
He has so
GOJI
many
is able to spew
beams.
this only from its mouth and its pulse only while Shin is at a closer range. This one is very, very close, but for combat purposes, Shin Godzilla takes the edge when it comes to the effectiveness of these weapons.
Oh, yep.
X Factor. There is something very important we need to consider before putting Shin Godzilla in the
Oh, my
arena.
nose.
It's genetic architecture. In the film, we were introduced to the theory that this creature's genome is so advanced that it is 8 times larger than human DNA. Explaining why
Godzilla's
this creature was
asexual
able to evolve
propagation,
right in
or
front of
whatever
your
that
eyes
says.
and adapt to counter almost anything thrown at him. This does not end here. Taking into account the fact that this animal can regenerate, it was mentioned that this creature could have regenerated entire new forms from parts of its body. Similar to a starfish, you can cut
A
these guys up
starfish?
but end up with more starfish. But this regeneration isn't instantaneous either. It will take some time for the healing to occur, but it also won't last days or weeks either. Once all of its atomic energy is depleted, it will have taken this animal almost 2 weeks to replenish its energy.
2 weeks?
The only way to effectively get rid of this monster is
Man.
with a blast with a shock so powerful that it could disintegrate all of its matter. Legendary Godzilla's X Factor is in a more psychological or behavioral realm. Given that Godzilla is arguably the most arrogant titan in the monsterverse, it's clear that whenever Godzilla
Bow,
faces
yes.
another kaiju, he expects
I said bow.
to submit or
Make
face
me.
his wrath. In this
What
case,
the
facing
heck?
Shin Godzilla would be a confusing experience. Once seeing that Shin does not submit, Godzilla will go straight for the kill. Whether this is a good or bad thing, we are about to find out. We are now ready to reveal who will be the winner of this fight.
Legendary
Shin
Godzilla.
with
It's
its
obvious.
abnormal biology wins the edge on regeneration and a close edge on atomic weaponry. Legendary Godzilla with its battle-hardened build wins the edge on resistance, battle intelligence, strength, terrain adaptability, locomotion, and
Yes.
melee weaponry.
Yes!
With no battle
Come on, he's
attributes
gotta
shared
win.
between the two titans. After compiling all of our data, we determined this is going to take a while to explain.
What?
Bear with us. The simulation
No
will now
winner?
display the results in
No clear
3
winner?
phases. Number 1, the stats speak for themselves. Upon compiling all of this information, the first technical winner of this confrontation was Legendary Godzilla,
Yep.
with the battle attributes carrying more weight being locomotion and melee weaponry. Because Shin Godzilla has little or no experience using melee weapons, and considering the fact that its close-range weapons were inferior, this cost it its life when facing a charging Legendary Godzilla. Even at a distance, by the time Legendary GOJI reached the body of Shin Godzilla, Shin wouldn't have condensed its atomic ray fast enough before Godzilla got near to it,
Yep.
or blasted it with its own atomic ray. Even if Shin did load it on time,
Ooh.
Godzilla's corporal resistance would have kicked in to withstand this heat for enough time until it managed to close the distance.
Melee
and turn
combat
this into a
imminent.
close confrontation. Once Godzilla finishes off Shin and walks
Oh,
away,
look at
as he normally
Godzilla.
does, this would have
He's
not
so
been the end of
wounded.
it. Remember that this is not
Detecting
the way to finish off
regenerative
this kaiju.
process.
You need to light up everything, and Godzilla never really learned this. Number 2, Shin Godzilla begins to regenerate once again. Remember that there is no clear limit to what this thing can regenerate and evolve to, which leads us to number 3, the next confrontation. The simulations in this channel normally conclude with one clear winner and one clear loser, with the loser being completely dead. This time, Shin was defeated, but not completely killed, allowing his regenerative properties to kick in again. Now, Godzilla faces a different kaiju with different corporal attributes that can better counter his speed and physical prowess. Perhaps even 2 Shin Godzillas. The simulation ends here since we have absolutely no data on this alternative 5th form. In the film, Shin Godzilla's 5th
It's
form
legendary
were these
Godzilla.
humanoid creatures that evolved
I know
to
it
better
is.
counter humanity in a more effective method. This was halted, obviously. By understanding Shin's biology, it is more than evident that had it faced legendary Godzilla, its 5th form would have been something completely different. A battle between legendary Godzilla and this 5th form is completely up for grabs, and we won't know exactly how it will go for legendary Godzilla. Perhaps a 6th or even 7th form would have been needed to finally defeat legendary GOJI. In the past, Godzilla did face a kaiju
Ooh,
of
look at
similar
Godzilla.
attributes.
It looks so
This kaiju
mean.
could
It's so
regenerate from
buff,
severed
too.
pieces of its body, and the only way to get rid of it was to incinerate the entire Titan. This was achieved by dropping a nuke on this creature, making it one of the only kaiju that Godzilla
That's
could kill.
Shinomura.
Same applies here. This was a strange outcome, but only because we are dealing with a strange creature. Did legendary Godzilla technically win? In
Yes.
your opinion? Or
My
does Shin
opinion,
Godzilla's
yes.
biology grant it an ultimate victory? Let us know your opinions in the comments.
It's legendary
For more
Godzilla. It's
fun
really
videos and
obvious,
documentaries
guys.
like these,
But
please
either
like
way,
this
it was a great video.
subscribe,
Shout out to GOJI
and
Center.
check out our merch if you haven't yet. Thank you so
Well, I'll
much
be
for
sure to check
watching,
it out.
and we will see you in the next
Bye,
battle.
GOJI Center. Well, guys, I really enjoyed that video, but it's obvious we all know who the winner is. Even though there wasn't a clear winner, it's obvious that legendary Godzilla wins. But either way, it was a great video, GOJI Center. Anyways, this is the end of this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you will not miss out on any new videos. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.